Hello, and welcome to From the Cold Corner, a podcast devoted to those impacting the cold food and beverage supply chain. I'm Layan Dahhan, multimedia specialist for Refrigerated and Frozen Foods magazine, and today I'm joined by Louis Armstrong, CEO and founder of Killer Creamery. Welcome to the show, Louis.
Thanks for having me.
So, for those in our audience who might be unfamiliar with Killer Creamery, can you give us some background and history of your company and what kind of products you make?
Yeah, so we make better for you, sugar-free ice cream products. So that's pints and novelties. So we enter the market with pints, and now we just launched an ice cream sandwich as well. And we got a few other things teed up as far as some innovations. We're based out of Boise, Idaho. Started here, very much a bootstrapped story. I'm a food scientist. That's my background was manufacturing, mostly dairy products, and I really just wanted to do something fun for myself. So jumped into the space and saw an opportunity. It was really kind of an idea planted back as far as 2010, but finally got the time and to really dive into it in about 2016 when I launched the brand. And yeah, we started hand making it ourselves here in Boise, kind of generating the buzz with any event we could do, farmers markets, getting it to some of the local grocery stores, and eventually we started scaling into some bigger conventional players, and now we've expanded across the country. So it's been a kind of a wild ride.
So, you mentioned your background is in food science. So, did you work as a food scientist somewhere else before starting Killer Creamery? And if so, was there anything in particular that maybe inspired you to create your own company?
So my corporate experience, main one was with a group called Lighthouse Foods here in Idaho. They're known for their salad dressings, but they also make cheese and some other products too that they sell under their brand and private label and some things like that. So I gained a lot of experience working with the R&D teams there, launching innovations, co-packing for other people, having our stuff co-packed. So as corporate QA manager, so my big part of my background is quality assurance. I just got to touch all the different departments within kind of corporate food production and sales by being involved in so many different things. And then the back half of my professional career was in operations, so managing dairy ops, cheese, buttermilk, things like that. So I would say what that gave me is just like a strong understanding of what it takes to actually have a food company, to launch products at scale and with quality, and to make sure you're doing things right. So I came into starting my own food company with I guess maybe a little less ignorance than some people. Whether that's good or bad, I'm not really sure. Or maybe I'm kind of a crazy person, so I didn't know what I was getting into as far as starting my own food company, especially in the frozen space. But yeah, that was I would think one of my unfair advantages as far as kind of getting this off the ground a little bit faster.
And then who would you say are your target customers and how do you stand out in, such a competitive dessert market?
Yeah, great question. We're really targeting people that just want to make healthier options. So a mom looking to reduce sugar for her kids, somebody on the ketogenic diet, diabetics, anybody that's just looking to make a better for you choice. So, and you've mentioned it's kind of a very crowded space right now, especially in the pint side of ice cream, which is probably the lowest kind of barrier entry to get product on shelf and create a brand. Novelty is much more difficult. So that's one way we're standing out, is bringing some of our innovation to the novelty side. So any form factor that's not really a pint, or can be single serve or portion control, which I think is a great format for these kind of better for you products when you're trying to be a little bit healthier, maybe control how many calories you're taking in. Pint, it's 3 servings per pint, but as you all know, including myself, kind of eat the whole thing, or at least half of it. So you're always getting more than a serving. And that was one of my inspirations for building the company. Is you would not find ice cream in my fridge or freezer at home for that exact reason. Like, I just overindulge. I have to have portion control, like physically there, or else I'm going off the rails. So I wanted to do something that really appealed to myself, and I figured there had to be a pile of people like me too. So the biggest thing we're really trying to bring to this category to kind of give ourselves a competitive edge, if you will, is just some of that fun, bringing back some of the nostalgia to ice cream. And really that comes with the experience of ice cream. So the texture and taste, you just can't give up on those. And if you don't have those at least close to the quote unquote kind of real thing, I think you're just going to lose customers or people that want to make that better for you choice and then get turned away once they try the types of products that are, like you mentioned, in this kind of crowded space. So that's what we're obsessed about. That's what my background helps me with, and my team, where you just want to be different. We want to make sure innovations and everything we build and bring to the consumers as Killer Creamery just really checks the box as far as flavor and texture. And oh, by the way, this is also sugar-free. You don't have to have as much guilt, and available pricing too, because that's a big part of all this too. We can't be wildly expensive.
So you mentioned that your products are made in Idaho. So I'm wondering, is there any particular facility where your products are manufactured? And have they always been made there?
We're co-manufacturing now. We had our own creamery here in Boise, but we have moved on to a co-packer at this point. So that's kind of our plan going forward. There's definitely the option to move back to our own manufacturing as we get a little bit more scale. It's kind of the tricky part, as you're scaling a business to do it yourself. I strongly encourage people to do that, especially have access to equipment. I was lucky enough to have that. I didn't have to go build a very complex facility because there was one already here that I happened to have interned at back in like 2006. So I had connections to the people and the equipment and things like that. So I was able to launch fairly quickly and get things off the ground. But at some point, you've got to raise a bunch of capital to start building dairy facilities and pasteurizing products and all these types of things if you want to go scale. And it's just a huge risk. So we've elected to kind of go down the path of co-manufacture, and then we'll see as we build the brand and start getting volume, what makes the most sense for us to continue growing and have ultimately, like I said, that best experience for our consumers. So
You kind of touched on this, but have there been any upgrades or improvements to your facility or system of operations since the business started?
yeah, it's ever changing. So we're kind of mission driven on that experience side. So as we continue to tweak our recipes and find more ingredients that could potentially help us with that consumer experience, we're constantly tweaking the process and our recipes to improve the experience of the product itself. So it's a never ending battle for us, and bringing our newer recipes and processes and ingredients to really kind of an old school manufacturing world in ice cream, pints, novelties, everything like that. That's definitely a difficult road because you're doing something completely outside of the box typically, and just a little bit different. So all that training and kind of mentality you got to bring to this somewhat old school world has been one of the challenges for us, and something we've been tackling head on and have some good success with.
So, what would you say are some of your best selling flavors or products, and why do you think they're popular?
Yeah, so we've got some pretty fun names and flavors. We try to keep it fun. It's ice cream after all. So our brownie points is probably one of our best selling pints. So that's a chocolate base with a pile of brownie chewy pieces on the inside. So a good seller for us. And one of our other core products is like a salted caramel that has an amazing texture and like a gooey caramel ribbon to the whole pint. So those two are kind of our original portfolio products that do really well. They're really well distributed. But probably most exciting would be some of the new ones we launched this year. So we have kind of our kitchen sink concept. So like everything's in it, kind of a product we call Whale Trails. And that's got cookie dough pieces, brownie pieces, a caramel swirl, Farragut, and chocolate chips as well. So it kind of has a little bit of everything in it. And that's becoming one of our best selling flavors and my personal favorite. Along with that, we launched a really good cookie dough ice cream too. So that's kind of number two for me. And I think as we come into next year's category resets, you'll see more of that. And then we've got two more lined up on the pint side that we haven't really announced yet, but we're bringing it into next year. So just to kind of hint at it, a couple, it's basically our killer version of, like a buttered pecan, and then our kind of twist on a triple chocolate, if you will.
So, are there any particular things you get inspiration from when trying to create new products or flavors, or is it kind of just, general consumer interest mixed with, your own personal preferences?
A little bit of both. So as much as I'd love to do crazy things that I love, I also realize that there's limitations to that as far as the availability of some of those ingredients and other people's just general palates as you start speaking to a broad base. So yeah, I'd love to do. We've even played around some bacon, peanut butter ice creams and things like that. But that obviously just doesn't probably quite scale. It's viral, it's fun, and we definitely find some super fans. But so we're leaning into traditional palette type things and trying to put some type of a fun twist on it. Is essentially what we're doing.
And then moving over to kind of sustainability, are there any areas of sustainability you guys focus on with production or packaging?
It's really packaging. So it's been in the works for a while, but you don't see a lot of sustainable pint packaging out there. There are some options that are popping up. So we're moving to a new supplier that has that available for us. So we're working through pricing. This is something we've been working on for about 2 years now. And as some bigger companies are adopting this type of packaging, it brings enough volume and incentive for these packaging producers to make it available for a smaller company like ourselves, essentially. So it's becoming a real option, and we should be transitioning into something like that for next year. That's probably the biggest thing that we're trying to accomplish as a not only a better for you ice cream, but a better for you brand too.
And then where can consumers buy your products? Are they in retail or just online?
Yeah, mostly retail. So we're coast to coast. We're in about 3,000 stores. Of course, killercreamery.com, using our store locator is the easiest thing. We're well placed in Albertson Safeway stores around the country, West Coast, East Coast, more heavily West since we do produce out here. We're in some of the Ahold banners like Stop and Shop and Giant Foods, Harris Teeter, and a little bit of some of the Kroger stores out West too. And then as we come into the category resets for 2022, hopefully we'll kind of continue that expansion plan. And if you follow us on social media, of course, we'll announce where those are, and hopefully we'll be near some of the people that are listening.
So how important is e-commerce to Killer Creamery? And do you have any plans to expand to direct to consumer availability?
Yeah, we're available nationwide right now. As far as importance and kind of expanding, it's definitely difficult for frozen products. And not only frozen products, but we're at ice cream temperatures. So we got to pack, 10-pound blocks of dry ice in these packages. So you end up paying more for shipping and packaging than the product itself. So we are available online. It is definitely not a big important channel for us, like a lot of other brands, which that can thrive and especially start up and gain traction in consumers online. It's just so expensive to do it in ice cream. And then couple that with the issues kind of in supply chain. So even FedEx and things like that that are completely out of our control, ice cream shows up a little bit late and you have a major problem if your product melts and you try to refreeze it. Just doesn't work, and you lose that entire customer experience and the texture of the product. So kind of a huge bummer. So online is not a focus. It's definitely available for trial, and we mostly try to encourage people to go to stores to get it where we can control that supply chain just a little bit better.
Yeah, that was kind of my next thing. I was going to say distribution of frozen products might get tricky. So, do you have
It's
any like
tough.
cold storage facilities or anything you use when distributing your products? I guess you mentioned the dry ice thing.
So since we mostly wholesale to grocery stores and distributors, we have three warehouses around the country that have ice cream capability as far as storing at like -10 Fahrenheit or lower. So we have that as kind of our hubs, and either our customers are picking up from there or we're scheduling our own logistics and getting trucks to pick up and drop off at our customer.
So, what kind of growth has Killer Creamery had in the past few years? And are there any trends in the market that may have affected this growth?
Yeah, we're growing well. Again, from kind of hand scooping ice cream and doing everything ourselves here to now co-packing and being in distributors. I'm not stocking the shelves anymore and driving my own delivery van into we're in Boise, Idaho here. I used to drive into Utah and Nevada and things like that to stock shelves. We're beyond that now, so our growth has been really good, and we continue to grow kind of into next year too. The biggest thing would be the expansion of our portfolio, and that's one of the trends that has been really good for us. So we mentioned novelties early on. An ice cream sandwich we're able to get into market this year, and that's one that's going to be a big part of our growth story kind of going forward. And it's an amazing product. We've had it in 3 of the Albertsons regions, so their Portland region, my hometown region here, which is Intermountain, so your Idaho, Montana kind of area, and then Southwest Albertsons too, so Phoenix, kind of Vegas area where the bulk of those stores are at. So you can get our ice cream sandwiches there, but they're flying right now. And the customer experience that I was talking about is, we think we kind of nailed that one on the head. So hopefully people can go try that and experience it.
So there have been a lot of recent supply chain and labor issues affecting the entire industry. So I'm wondering if you've been affected by that, and if so, do you have any strategies to work through those issues?
Yeah, definitely affected by it. So it's a major concern for us and kind of everybody. So it's affecting, yeah, broadly the entire supply chain. So from people driving trucks, so logistics is difficult in an already difficult and tight space with frozen distribution. So things are tight there. As far as that growth plan, it's hard to be extremely aggressive, knowing even if we have a product that seems, somewhat revolutionary to this category, supply chain there is somewhat difficult too. So we got to be, tactical and make sure we're talking to our supply chain partners on the ingredient side. We're having those discussions, making sure that we're in a good place coming through next year and beyond, with securing our volumes that we project and think we need. So it's an ongoing process. There's plenty of pain for not only our supply chain partners, but the grocery stores and including ourselves. So I think it's going to be a difficult couple of years as we go here, but we're trying to be strategic and safe and careful and make sure we're just, helping people through some pain with some ice cream.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for being on the show with me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of From the Cold Corner. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact me via email at dahanl@bnpmedia.com. And if you'd like to suggest a topic or be a guest on the show, please let me know. Don't forget to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or even listen to us directly on our site at refrigeratedfrozenfood.com.